Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. When you are thinking about putting in or redoing a landscape bed, there are certain things you should consider. Today we're going to talk about how to plan before you get out the shovel. Also, some popular landscape plants are just a bad choice. We'll talk about some of them and give some better options. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Joellen Diamond. Joellen is the Director of Landscape at the University of Memphis, and Carol Reese will be joining me later. All right, Joellen, let's talk a little bit about designing a landscape.
Yes,
I'm
designing a
interested
landscape.
to hear about this.
Yeah. One of the things you have to ask yourself is, why do you want to create the landscape in the first place?
Okay.
Or do you have something that you don't like, and why do you want to change it? What is the purpose of you wanting to change the landscape design?
Okay.
Of whatever it is. And how is it currently being used?
Yes.
And then how do you want it to function with the new design that you're going to do?
Okay. Okay.
So those are the questions you ask first of yourself. And then you proceed to assess the site.
All right.
That's going to be key to being able to get a design done, is to assess your site.
Okay.
You're going to be looking at how is the area oriented to the sun? Because we're working with living plants, and they need sunlight to make chlorophyll to produce their food to live. So they have to have some kind of sun. So how much sunlight do you have in that particular area? Are there any existing trees or maybe even some structures? I mean, it could be a tool shed out in the back, or it could be, your house or a garage. What kind of structure and what kind of trees are already existing in the house, which again will affect how the sun gets to that area.
Okay.
Are there any existing walkways or hardscapes, patios, or anything else? What is existing there already? How is the drainage on the site?
I think that is huge.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to re-landscape because they do have drainage problems. But you've got to know where that water is flowing around your property, and does it pool up anywhere? All of that will determine what type of plants you will end up eventually putting there. Soils. That's the other part.
Yes.
With the drainage, there's the soil. Now, does your soil, you can have a heavy downfall and the water runs through there, maybe it pools up a bit, then an hour later it's gone. That would be great.
That's fine. Right.
But if it stays there for several days, there's a problem.
That's a problem.
So what kind of soil do you have? A lot of clay and small silt particles stick together, and they are not very porous, so they retain water. Digging down, that's why we did the water test here.
Right,
we dug the percolation test. We dug a hole and see how, put some water in and see how much it drained, and when it didn't drain at all, we knew we had a problem.
Right.
So, you could have the same thing in that area. So you really need to determine the drainage and what type of soils you have, because that's going to also determine what type of plants you put in.
That's right. Yeah, I think drainage is, such a big topic today
Yeah.
in today's landscapes, for sure.
They really are. There's just all sorts of plants out there, though, that you can use in all kinds of situations. You may not have a large variety when you get to soggy soils and no sun. There's going to be less and less plants that will live in those conditions. But there are still some plants that will live in those conditions.
Sure. Okay.
And if you do have an area like that, you might decide, well, maybe I don't need a plant here at all. Maybe I should put in a hardscape of some kind, maybe a stone patio or an area that has just mulch or rocks in it for a seating area or something. There's all sorts of things you can do, but you've got to know what you have to begin with. And then now some of the things we use for tools to design with you know, you're going to have a few things. You need to have a tape measure of some kind.
Yeah.
Because you've got to determine how long the area is or how large it is. And then you have to view the area from where you want to see it from. I mean, if you're in the house and you're looking outside and you're trying to block a view from across the street or behind your house, you need to view what you are going to do, where you're going to design at from inside your house. Yeah. But if it's you wanting to do something with the front of your house to have it more appealing, get that first impression, you know, then you would want to view it from the street. So you just got to figure out where the view is that you're trying to create a different feeling for in the landscape.